Okay,
There's another
here's the
banana.
audience and my wife who will be recording. Okay, good. My name's Brenton Fiedler. I'm a student of online classes at Park University. I'm currently enrolled in a class called Intro to Human Communication and required to give an informative speech, which I'll be doing today. So I have a question for you. When you see dew outside on the ground, have you ever wondered how it got there? It's not rain. There's no precipitation. So what is it and how did it get there? That's the topic of this speech. We're going to talk a little bit about what causes dew, what exactly the dew point is, and how it's important and useful to us in society. So first off, credentials and credibility. I am paid at a processing plant where we use dew point daily for different chemicals, a bunch of different dew points for different things. It's literally what I'm paid to do every day. I found it fascinating, and so I'm going to share that with you guys today. So first off, we'll do a textbook definition, which says the dew point is the temperature the air needs to be cooled to at a constant pressure in order to achieve a relative humidity of 100%. At this point, the air cannot hold more water in the gas form. If the air were to be cooled even more, water vapor would have to come out of the air in liquid form, usually as fog or precipitation. That's in a 1987 study, and that was kind of long and drawn out, but really what it's saying is that hot air can hold more moisture than cold air can. So you can have humidity air in the air during the day, and as the temperature drops and drops and drops, there's a certain temperature that's reached outside where the air can no longer hold any more moisture. And as the temperature continues to fall below that dew point, that's the dew point, it'll begin condensing on your car, grass, things outside, and it'll create what is called dew. So when moisture in the air condenses out due to a drop in the air temperature, that's what forms dew, and that specific temperature at which the moisture turns back into liquid, that is the dew point. So another example of this is inside. If you get a cold beverage, say out of the refrigerator, or pour yourself a glass of iced tea, you might notice that sometimes, even though the glass or the can was not wet, after a period of sitting on the table or the counter, there will be condensation, moisture on there. And maybe your mom or your wife has yelled at you to use a coaster. You have to use a coaster because that cold, cold glass, the moisture in the air will be condensed by that coldness on the side of the vessel, and it'll form droplets on there, which after a while will drip down and form that ring on the bottom of the table. And that's why you have to use a coaster, so the air reaches the dew point caused by the coldness of your drink. Another example is toilet sweatings and air conditioning on windows. Now this mostly happens in very humid climates, but in the case of the toilet, the water is colder than the air in your house, and it'll cause condensation on the sides of the toilet. And in very humid climates, even the inside air temperature being so low and the moisture content, the relative humidity being so high outside, water can actually condense because it meets the dew point on the air-conditioned window and drop down. So how is this useful to us? What are practical implications of this? So like I said, I work in a plant. We deal with gas streams and hydrocarbon gases. So not so much dew as in water outside, but if you think of propane, butane like in a lighter, and even fuel gas, ethane, all those condense at different temperatures. So at my job, it's a cryogenic plant. Whereas outside, the dew point might be 60 degrees. If we get down to 60, we start seeing water on the ground. We have to get down to negative 150 degrees and a lot of pressure to condense out things such as ethane and propane. But the concept is the same, lowering the temperature low enough to the point that a gas turns into a liquid. So also in meteorology, another quote from the National Weather Service here, dew point is of great interest to meteorologists because it is a very basic measure of the state of the atmosphere in terms of how much water vapor is present. Unlike relative humidity, which depends on both temperature and the amount of water vapor, dew point is directly related to the amount of water vapor and will increase if there's more water vapor. So basically what it's saying in terms of trying to figure out what feels good and what doesn't as far as humidity, relative humidity can actually be affected by temperature. So when it's hotter or colder, it can throw it off. It's not a very reliable number for what feels good to a human. So dew point is better. With dew points 50 and lower, feeling comfortable. In the 60s, it can start to feel humid. And a dew point of 70 degrees or higher is considered extremely humid. Also, in predicting temperature for the future, dew point can give a reasonable starting point for estimating the low temperature the next day. So you have the high and the low for the next day's forecast. You can actually estimate the low for the next day using the current day's dew point. So those were some good cases, but how about a bad one where we want to avoid dew point? Offshore, they have those oil rigs way out in the middle of the ocean. It's a very small footprint, so efficiency is key. You have to do all you can with the space that you have. So some of the industrial processes, they burn fuel gas for a heat source. Well, if you take the exhaust from that fuel gas and run water over it through a pipe, you can actually heat that water and use the water to wash clothes, do dishes, take showers, stuff like that. So we're taking waste heat and using it, which is good. But that drops the temperature of those exhaust gases from that burning fuel. And turns out if you drop the temperature enough, you can reach the dew point of those exhaust products and actually create sulfuric acid. So in this case, we can take some heat, but we don't want to take so much that we reach that dew point. Otherwise, we'll start corroding our pipes and things like that. So a case there where we would want to stay above the dew point. Okay, now let's wrap things up. So dew point is when the air can't hold any more moisture and vapor condenses into liquid. We reviewed how dew works outside, how we can capitalize upon the phenomenon in industrial processing, and even a case in which it should be avoided. So the next time you're grilling a steak and drinking a beer outside, you can say thank you to dew point, to condensing that propane into the bottle you use for grilling, and you can explain to your buddy why there's condensation on the side of the can. And this concludes my speech, and if y'all can hang on for a second, Gab, can you record the audience again? And I'm just taking it. Hold on there.
Excellent.
There you go.
Presentation.
Okay, and that's it.